Yeah. So I'm saying I'm taking this opportunity to officially welcome each and every one of you to Power Monday. It's good to have you. Thank you very much for logging in. It's a program that has run for 6 years. It was started as an initiative of Live Your Dream, a corporate social responsibility, because Live Your Dream deals with training and capacity development, and more so development of entrepreneurs, starting and improving your business. And of course, in partnership with ICT gurus that puts businesses online. And so the platform is provided by ICT gurus. We are known to put businesses online, helping you to go digital. And so that is how it's been run for 6 years. We are celebrating the 6th year. And nowadays we have also a dinner to close the year. So this is going to be the 3rd edition of the dinner. Power Monday partners with different entities that are willing to be part of this beautiful journey. So currently for the dinner, we've had some 3 entities. Other than Live Your Dream and ICT Gurus, we have Pension Club International, and we also have Dreamcrest. And you can learn that from powermonday.net/dinner. And for these sessions, we also partner with people to sponsor the online, the Zoom and the likes. And so we have Pivot Assets that is part of this month and next 2 months, a total of 3 months sponsoring. So welcome, and you can learn more about Power Monday from powermonday.net. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lucita to give us an icebreaker as usual, and then we move on to the speaker of the day.
Good morning. What are your temperature levels this morning? It's a beautiful Monday morning. My name is Dr. Lucita the Poet. Last week, we appreciated the one who stayed. This week, allow me to also appreciate the one who left, because they also have lessons. Sometimes to be left is all that you need for you to stand strong. To the one who left, to the one who left, I watched each step, one foot in front of the other, one step like the sun setting slowly, quietly, without asking if I was ready for the dark. Like mist, you left. You left. You really left. And I stood there watching your back becoming smaller with every step. My eyes were still wet with tears. I had not yet learned how to hide. I wanted to call you back, but you left. Some goodbyes do not need words, they simply happen. A door closes, a hand lets go, a voice becomes a memory. You know, they left. And suddenly the person who you once knew, the sound your silence, is now a stranger to your morning. I watched you live with the kind of courage I did not understand. Perhaps you had already made peace with living while I was still making room for you to stay. I thought you were the one to stay, but you left. I kept thinking you will turn around just once, maybe once, just once, mara moja tu, but you left. Just long enough for our eyes to meet and say, this is not really a goodbye, but oh, they were really goodbyes. You never did, you left. So I learned that you, without betraying you, without another person waiting somewhere ahead, they just leave. Sometimes they simply choose a different road, and it hurts. It hurts. It breaks your heart so bad. Because how do you fight someone who is not fighting you? How do you hold on to someone who has already opened their hands like eagles? They have left, they have flown, they have gone. So I let you go. Not because it did not hurt, it hurt. My God, it hurt badly. But because love should never become a prison for the person you once prayed would stay. So go, walk. Take your step one foot in front of the other. Go where your heart has decided to go. I'll not cast the road beneath your feet. I'll not ask God to make you return. I will not ask him to teach me how to live with empty space you left behind. And perhaps one day I'll remember you without remembering the pain. Perhaps I will smile at the thought of us. Perhaps I will understand that some people's chapters are not the whole story. And to the one who left, thank you. Thank you for the love, for the lessons, for the memories, and even for the goodbye that you never said. Thank you. Thank you because you taught me something. Thank you because you gave room to the one who stayed. Thank you. Because maybe you could have never taught me what the one who left taught me. Sometimes letting go is also an act of kindness. So go right. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day I will take my own steps, one foot in front of the other, and walk into the sunrise. You never know. You might have been the one who helped me reach there. To the one who left, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is very much in tandem with today's topic, which is change. And sometimes those are the triggers for change. So I find it very beautiful, and more so as a follow-up of last week's poem on the one who stayed. Now it's our time to introduce Alice Ngigi. Alice Ngigi is a personal growth, business, and leadership coach, as well as a vision board mentor based in Nairobi, Kenya. She has been practicing as a coach since 2020. She has over 20 years experience in people and business development. She worked as a sales and marketing professional in pharmaceutical industry, holding different leadership positions. Her first leadership role in the industry was as a sales manager, responsible for training young medical representatives on selling skills, market analysis, and people management. She understands the critical role that leaders play in an organization and is committed to helping them appreciate the value of developing the people in their organization. Alice holds a postgraduate diploma from the Chartered Institute of America, Institute of Marketing, that is CIM, and a master's degree in leadership. She has been involved in leadership development at various levels in the organizations where she worked. She is the founder and CEO of Eliza Coaching Limited, an organization that is committed to developing authentic business leaders for this and future generations through coaching. Eliza coaching philosophy is grow your people to grow your business. Over and above that, she's an author of 3 books, an ebook called The 11 Critical Essentials for Creating a Powerful Vision Board, more than just pictures. And that is available on Amazon. I believe she can make it available for people here who want. Vision boards are very critical, very important, and they can always shape our future. She also has a hard copy, Take Control of Your Life, Create a Vision Board Today. That's another book which is available locally. And then there is Designed for Success, available locally and on Amazon. So after this, I hope some other people will also read about her books, get the books. So thank you very much. Welcome, our speaker for the day, Alice, and please, the floor is yours. I don't know whether you've been able to resolve the video thing.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you so much, OPP, for this opportunity. I don't take it for granted that you've given me your platform to come again. I truly appreciate, and I want to apologize that my camera is off. I have been trying to resolve that. I do not know what the issue is, but anyhow, we will continue. So I was asked to talk on this topic on change, navigating change, and particularly talking about the adaptability and the agility equation. And one of the things that I would want to start with is posing a question and just asking, what kind of change have you experienced in the recent past? You can go to the chat box and put it there, because change is the only thing that is constant. We can be sure that change will come. It's inevitable, whether it is at a personal level, in your business, in the economy, change is inevitable. OPP, you can read for me some of the comments that may have come.
Yes, Pam says change of job. Celestine says it's only me who's constant. Okay. If you're using that's a different one. Moving from moving locations, that is Modesta. Changed from Nairobi, Bungoma back to Nairobi, and then change in bosses. Yes, if you change bosses, yeah, starting a business, probably from the corporate life, that is from another Karen, transitioning from NGO world to work at home, that is the umbrella, relocating from Nairobi to Malindi.
Wow, great. We can stop there.
Changing, yes.
Yeah, so generally change is always there. It's what we say, it's the only constant that we have. And because change is such a broad topic, I just will focus myself on just change and how to navigate it generally, from a general point of view, because there's a lot that we can talk about change. When we train leaders, we talk about change leadership, change management in the organization. But today we'll just focus on change in general and see what lessons we can pick from there. So let's start first by defining what we are talking about. When we talk about change, as you have heard from the people that have talked about, there is something that is happening. There's a transition. The person who moved from here to Malindi, from Bungoma to Nairobi, you changed a job, you started an organization. There is something that is happening. So usually we say that change is that transition from your current reality to a different future reality. And when you look at that definition, then it helps us to see why sometimes people are afraid of change, because we are moving to something that is not known. And we'll be talking about that in a short while. First, let's look at the elements of change. First, there is an ending to something that was familiar. So when we are talking about change, it's about letting go of what is familiar. You had a job that was familiar to you, but now that job has come to an end, and that ending is the beginning of the change. Then there is the transition. You have to navigate the uncertainty. For the person who has you have changed a job, or you have lost a job, you have lost a business, you have moved from where you are, there is that uncertainty. You are not sure what is going to happen. And so you are afraid. Sometimes it will demand that you learn new things. There are people who move to a different culture where you have to learn even a new language. And that transition, you have to understand how to navigate it. And of course, there is now the new beginning. You are adopting new behaviors. You are achieving a new level of performance. If it's a business that you have started, you have to now start looking at it differently. And all these things are happening, sometimes very fast, sometimes they overlap. And sometimes the reason why we get afraid of change is because of all those uncertainties that come with change. Why is change inevitable? Change is usually driven by forces that never stop evolving. You have to think about the world that you're living in today. Think of how things have changed. We used to talk about PC computers. We used to talk about phones landlines. We used to talk about the post office as a means of communication. And when we look at where we are today, the technological advancement, and we are sure that whatever we are using today, in another 1-2 years, will probably be obsolete. So technology is always evolving, and because of that, change becomes inevitable. When you look at customers that we are serving today, they are customers that are involved. For me, who has been in sales for more than 20 years, I can tell you as a fact that the customer we had in the 90s is not the customer we have today. In the 90s, the salesperson was like the king. You had the information. You had the custody of that information. Customers needed to look for you to get the information. You needed those customers to educate them. But today, the customer has changed. Information is available. By the time you're going to them, they already probably have searched you. They have searched me. They know who I am. They know what I offer. They know the products. They know the competition. So that has changed completely. And because of that, their expectations are different. So that keeps changing, and it will continue to change. Markets have become more competitive. I remember a friend of mine who used to run a business, a very successful business in the 2000s, early 2000s. And we could actually tell that they were the people who were stuck to their thing. This is how I have always done things. And I can tell you today that business is struggling. Then the competition in that field was very limited, but today there is a lot of competition. And because he was not quick to change, he has really struggled maintaining his business. So markets continue to change. Economies fluctuate. You're not sure today the economy is doing well. We have seen some even major economies collapsing, the slowdown, the slump in the economy. Those things keep changing. And because they are evolving consistently, then we must expect that change will be there. So we usually say that change is inevitable. There are people who choose to resist change. We say that is optional. But what we say is growth is intentional. Change will always be there. What you do depends totally on you. Now, why do people fear change? Because when you talk to people, many times you will find that they are afraid. They are afraid first of the unknown. They don't know what will happen. They don't know whether this change coming. If you're in an organization and there is change that is being effected, you're not sure whether you will keep your job. You're not sure whether the skills you have will help you manage. You are not sure whether you will be able to cope with the change. That is very, very true. And it's because of the uncertainty that change brings. Then there is also the fear of failure. There are people who fear, if I change, will I succeed? Will I still be relevant? Those kind of things, the questions that we ask ourselves because of the change, that is what makes people afraid, fear the change. But we do not have to, because as we said, change is constant. Then people fear because they want to remain in the comfort zone. They are comfortable with the status quo. The story of my friend that I have talked about, that is someone who was very comfortable. He was doing pretty well in the early 2000s in his line of business. And so he was comfortable. He thought things would remain like that. So that comfort in the status quo is what makes now people feel, how can I move from here? How will it be? I don't know to do things in any other different way. And there is a statement that we usually tell leaders to be careful about. If you hear someone in the organization saying, no, but we can't, why would we change? This is the way we've always done things. Know that that is someone who is in a comfort zone. They are comfortable with the way things are, and that is a disaster, is a sure recipe for disaster. because change will come. And if someone has that fixed mindset that we can't change, then you're sure that it is going to be difficult. The other reason why people fear, sometimes we say that people do not actually fear change. They fear the loss that may come. They fear the lack of clarity. They are not sure how things are going to be. So where there is lack of a compelling vision, people may hesitate, not because they really fear the change, but because there is a lot of uncertainty. Things are not clear. They don't know what that means for them. And if you're not careful as a leader, you're likely to think that people are resisting the change, but it is not the change. They are resisting the loss of comfort, the loss of the familiar, because they don't know how that future is going to be, because you, as a leader, you haven't painted a very clear picture of how life would be after the change. But how can you encourage people to embrace change? Because whether we like it or not, change will always be here. First and foremost, as we have just talked in the previous slide, is that you have to create a very compelling vision for the future. If you're a leader and you're introducing some change, it will help for you to paint a very clear picture of how that future is likely to look like, and help the people in the organization see themselves in that future. Because if they can't see themselves in that future, then it means there is something that is not clear. They do not understand. And when people don't understand the questions they have, they will actually now think of the worst case scenario. They will not see that beautiful future you're talking about. If you don't paint it to them, they will now start thinking the worst will happen to them. So create that compelling vision. It is also important to explain the why behind the change. People don't want to change for the sake of change. And if you, as a leader, you're just introducing change and you're not telling people why, then it's going to be very difficult. It is very true. The generations before the millennial, that is the Gen X and the baby boomers, they never questioned much. But today, if you're leading the millennials, you're leading the Gen Zs, those are people who will question you. They will ask the why. They want to understand, why are we doing this change? And sometimes that is where the conflict comes in. If you're a baby boomer leading millennials and Gen Zs and they keep asking you questions, you feel like they're disrespectful. They're not being disrespectful. They want to understand the why. It is important to them. So anytime you're introducing change, let you not focus so much on the change, but also let the people understand why that change is important for them and what it will mean to them at the end. You also need to involve the people in shaping the solution. We are out of those days where instructions would come from top to bottom. If you try that today with the younger millennials and the Gen Zs, you're likely to just have a lot of trouble. They want to be involved. They want to feel like that you have appreciated them. You have taken their input. So when you involve people, people are likely to support something that they have created. So if you involve me to create this change, you have explained to me why this change is important. You have painted the picture. That vision is very compelling to me. I am likely not to resist at all. I am likely to offer all the support. And as a leader, you need to always lead by example. You don't tell people to change and you're not changing. You don't tell people to tighten their belts and your belt is getting wider. I think that statement is very clear. We will understand it in our nation. Don't tell people to do what you cannot do. So effective leaders lead by example. Yes, there is a change. We need to do this and this. We need to cut costs. Let them see you cut cost first. Let them see you leave what you're telling them to leave. If you can't do it, then don't tell them to do it. That is precisely what the leader does. Provide training and resources, because part of the reasons why people fear the change, as I had said before, is they may not be sure that the skills they have will be able to help them survive that change. So offer the training, help them to also know that the resources will be made available. As I prepared this yesterday, I remembered an organization I worked for many, many years ago when the computers were not as common. We would go to the sidebar to do whatever you wanted to do. And we were supposed to report almost every day. and you're reporting online. And so you would find that we would work and finish work so that you can rush to the cyber to do your report. And the people who came up with that, they did not think much about it until we got one manager, one leader. He came and he said, he listened to us, he listened to the issues, and he said, if you're expected to report online, have you been resourced to do that? And we said, no. And that is how he bought us tablets. Well, tablets had just started coming. And so I said, yes, the change is supposed to be there, but have you resourced the people? Don't change them, train them, and make sure that they have the resources that they require. It is important to celebrate early success, especially when you're in a change, when you're in a transition. That helps build momentum. Everybody feels happy when they're celebrated. When you do something small, however small it is, ensure that you have celebrated the people. They get motivated to keep moving. The resistance to change will be less when you celebrate people. So don't just push people to change, keep celebrating them. However small a milestone is, celebrate it, and you will see wonders. It will help you navigate that change very well. Now, we come to the big words that we have talked about, the adaptability versus agility. And many times we find these terms being used interchangeably, but there is a little difference between them. They mean almost the same, but there's a slight difference. When we talk about adaptability, we are talking about your ability to change when circumstances change. You do not keep saying this is how we have always done things. Technology has come. Today, the big thing is AI. There are people who are still fighting with it. And this, I'm here to tell you that AI is here to stay. So you either adapt or you become obsolete. So how fast are you able to adapt? Now, that is actually what agility is. Agility is the ability to anticipate, decide, and execute quickly. So it is actually the ability to change fast. So agility is about speed. The people who move with speed. Yes, there are those people who have adopted AI very fast. There are others who are still wondering, is it going to help? Or why is it even here? There are people who are still struggling with AI. Yet, it is here to stay. So we need to check that. So this is how the equation, the agility and adaptability equation looks like. When we talk about the success, first and foremost, we start from awareness. Are you aware of the change? We just talked about AI. Are you aware of that? What is happening? Where are we going with AI? That is getting aware of the change. If it is about the economy, are you aware? Where are we in terms of the economy? How is it likely to change? We are going to the general elections next year. How is that likely to affect us as business owners? So you need to gain that awareness. Number two, after you have gotten the awareness, what is your mindset? Are you looking at the change as an opportunity? Are you looking at it as a threat? There are people who are looking at AI as a threat. Others are seeing the massive opportunity that they can gain from the AI. There are people who are thinking about next year's general election here in Kenya, and they're wondering, how is that going to be? They are just seeing chaos, they are seeing issues. Yet there are others who are looking at it and actually seeing the opportunity that they can get out of the political situation that will be there next year. So the mindset is what will determine whether you become successful or not. And your mindset is what will help you know, do you adapt or not? Adaptability comes in. Yes, change is here. AI is here. There is nothing I can do. I better start learning and see how it's going to affect my business and see how I can use it to help my business. But you can say, yes, I will adapt, but you probably are not making any progress. You're not taking any step. So agility comes in now fast. You need to adapt, but you need to adapt quickly. You need to adapt fast. We have seen people thrown out of the market. And I think the classic example that is usually given is Kodak. They were the people in the photo industry for the longest. But when we moved to digital, they were not as fast to adapt to that change. And we all know that today they may not be as successful as they used to be. So fast speed is very, very important. But it doesn't matter whether you have the right mindset, whether you want to adapt, whatever you want to do. If you do not execute consistently, then you're not likely to succeed. So executing consistently is what will make the difference. Yes, you can say, yes, we adapt, we move quickly, we are agile, but are we doing it consistently? And the cycle continues. So when we are talking about adaptability and agility, it's not just the two of them. It is also right from whether we are aware. How is our mindset? Are we executing? So that is what will help us succeed as business owners. Now, first, there are stages that we talk about of change. We said that change is constant, is inevitable. However, it's not usually embraced as fast. The first stage when people hear about change is denial. No, AI cannot come. No, it can't happen. You are denying the fact that you are just trying to psychologically convince yourself that it is not happening. It will not affect us. It's not going to affect our business. That is called denial. Then comes the resistance. Remember, we said resistance is optional. You can either resist or you can decide to just go along with the change, adapt to the change and move on. So resistance comes. You are saying, no, we don't need to do anything about it. It is okay. Yeah, it is not going to affect us, so it is fine. So you are resisting change, sometimes unconsciously. Sometimes those stages are very unconscious. Then comes the stage where we realize that that change is here to stay, so we better adopt it, or we better just change with the times. So you accept the change. After you accept the change comes commitment. Now you start committing yourself. Now this happens. You may go through all these stages, or you may just go through maybe one or two stages. Sometimes you may not even understand that you're going through the stages. But what makes the difference is the speed at which you change. We say that, yes, those stages are there, but leaders who understand ensure that they shorten that journey from denial to commitment, because you don't want to remain in denial for a long time. You don't want to see people resisting for a long time. You want people to move as quickly as possible. And some of the things that will help you move is what we have discussed before. Have you described to them how that future is going to be? Have you cast a very compelling vision? Have you assured them that you will train them? Yes, this change is going to come. AI is new to most people. Have you assured them that you're going to offer them training, that you will resource them, that they will be okay? As long as you're doing that, then you're likely to shorten the journey. So as a leader, it is for you to understand where your team is, which stage are they at? Are they still at denial stage? Are they still showing a bit of resistance? Have we gained a bit of acceptance? And where are we? Because if they have not gone through that process, commitment may be difficult. So for you as a leader, ensure that you have shortened that as much as possible. Give information. In fact, one of the reasons why people tend to resist change is where there is no clarity. When there is no clarity, there is confusion, there is uncertainty. That is what makes people resist the change. So as a leader, ensure that you give information that is required for them to be able to make the right decision. Now, why do sometimes organizations fail during the change process? Because change is there, it is always constant. And many times it's because they tend to focus so much on the systems. Change, yes, it is about systems, it's about the technology, but the most important thing that you can never forget or ignore when you're going through change is people. Because you must think that these are the people who will be affected. These are the people who are going to work this system. These are the people who are going to work to help us go through this change or navigate the change. So as a leader in the organization going through change, ensure that you do not forget the people. Remember, they have all these questions that are going on in their mind. So for you to keep helping them understand, gaining the confidence that it is going to be okay. But where you find that you're focusing so much on the systems, you're likely to get some resistance from the people, not because they want to, but because they don't feel involved in the change process. The questions that people will be asking themselves is, will I succeed? That is important. Will I still matter after this change? Now AI is coming. We hear that it's going to take a lot of people's jobs. These are questions that people are asking themselves. So for you, reassure them what will be happening. Will I lose my position? Maybe when you change, you have maybe like where two companies come together. That is a huge change in an organization. Some people in leadership are wondering, will my position still be there? So these are the questions that are going on. So for you to succeed, ensure that you do not ignore the people. And where there is something that will involve learning a new skill, assure them that you will give them training. So once you do that, you're likely to succeed. So don't just focus on the system that you're implementing or whatever that needs to be changed. Also remember that people are a very important part that will help you succeed. People will support what they help create. I had said that. When you involve them in the change, then they see how they come in, how they plug into the process that will help you be successful quickly. And it will also help you shorten that journey. Now, the adaptability mindset. What do you need to do to get to the adaptability mindset? You have to stay curious. When you're not curious, when you think that you know everything that you needed to know, that is recipe for disaster. But we always say there is always something new that you can learn. So stay curious. Also see what is possible. There are people who tend to see negative. And at this juncture, let me say that contrary to popular belief that change comes with improvement, it's not all change that comes with improvement. There is change that is positive, there is change that is negative. But for you going through the change, try to see what is possible. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Even if it wasn't a very positive change, ask yourself, what can I learn from this change process? So staying curious and seeing what is possible, having that mindset that says, yes, we can do it. What can I learn? How can I do things differently? That is what is going to help you build that adaptability mindset. Now, the agility formula. Agility is built through habits such as learning fast. You have to learn faster. We talked about agility as speed. It's the how fast you implement or respond to the change. Yes, you'll be adaptable, but make sure that you're not taking all your time. Being able to adapt fast. So learn faster as an individual, as a leader, then decide fast. Sometimes we have seen decisions taking so long until people get overtaken by others because of the decision-making process. So make sure that you learn to make decisions very fast. Experiment often. Sometimes you may need to carry out a few tests, pilot something, test something at a smaller level, what we call the minimum viable product or project, so that you do not fail on a large scale. That will help you be able to build, to adjust, to see how you can change. So experiment often, and especially for people who are in IT, make sure that you keep helping them to experiment as fast as possible. And of course, collaborate widely. Today, the new keyword is collaboration. We don't talk much about competition, because you can always find someone that you can collaborate with, and that makes all the difference. Recover quickly. When you fail, don't sit there. Come out, pick your lessons, and recover as fast as possible. Don't keep whining. We usually say, yes, you have failed. Don't focus on on what has already passed. pick up your pieces, ask yourself what you needed to do, and you start doing it and moving on quickly. Because as you're there whining that you failed, others are building, others have moved. So do not waste a lot of time there. Keep moving and moving quickly. Now, some of the behaviors that you will see in leaders who are agile is that they listen before they react. Why? Because they want to understand. Once they have understood what needs to be done and they have got it clearly, then they can move fast, because fast speed is important. They empower instead of controlling. Coming back to what the example I had given of baby boomers or Gen X's leading millennials and Gen Zs, we came from a position of management where there was a lot of control. Today, that will not work. Empower the people to make decisions for themselves. So if you're a leader and you're still controlling your people, you are not likely to succeed. You're likely to fail. But agile leaders, they empower, they do not control. They communicate constantly. One of the things that make people resist change is lack of clarity. As I said, communication is not good. Communication is, information is scanty, is not available. During change, the worst mistake you can make is to make information scarce. Let people know what needs to be done. Where there is no information, there is definitely not going to be a vacuum, and people are going to think of the worst case scenario. So make sure that you're communicating to them consistently. Encourage experimentation, as I have said, and that will also encourage innovation in your team. Celebrate learning, not perfection. Sometimes we are so perfect, we want perfection. We pride ourselves in being perfectionists, but I can tell you that what you should be celebrating more is people who are learning. If you are in an organization where people learn and are keen to learn, that needs to be celebrated. They may not get to perfection, they may not yet be at the perfection stage that you want, but as long as you can see the progress they are learning, celebrate that. As you celebrate them, they will then move towards perfection. How do you build an agile team? I think I'm almost coming to an end. Ensure that you build what we call psychological safety, because psychological safety is what will fuel agility. Do not punish failure. In an organization where failure is punished, one of the things that you find is that you kill creativity, you kill innovation. So do not punish failure, because that is how people learn. So encourage people to ask questions. We have seen organizations where people are so afraid even to speak. They can't air their opinion. They can't say what they think. And that is not a healthy organization. So if you want to build an agile team, encourage your people to ask questions. Encourage them to share ideas. I was called to train a team, and one of the issues they were struggling with is people holding information. You have this information, you don't want to share it because you want to be the one to shine. In that kind of a situation, that team is not likely to go far. So encourage your team to share ideas. Encourage them to take responsibility by admitting mistakes. Remember, as a leader, I said you lead by example. If you have made a mistake, it helps to also own up and say that, yes, you made that mistake. Taking that responsibility and being accountable is what will help you build a team that is agile. Encourage people to learn quickly. Yes, you may have tried to do it, it didn't work, but what did you learn? So learning should be continuous. Anytime when learning stops, that team is not likely to go far. Innovation. Encourage the team to innovate. When you don't punish mistakes, when people know that, yes, I can make a mistake and not be punished, that is what encourages creativity and innovation. But if you do punish, then people will be quiet, they will be silent, they will not even offer their opinions or ideas, and that way the team cannot be creative. Now, there are some hidden costs of not changing. Sometimes we may not see them, they may not be very outright, but they are there and we need to know them. It will turn to loss of customers. I started by sharing the story of my friend who was running a very successful business, but today his business is actually a shadow of its former self because he was not able to adapt to change quickly. And as a result, he ended up losing a lot of his customers. Where there is no clear communication, people can't see what they are supposed to be doing, how that future you're talking about is going to look like, employees tend to be disengaged. And when you have employees who are disengaged, this is a very dangerous place for you to be as a team or as an organization. So make sure that you are communicating the change so that you do not have disengaged employees. Missed opportunities. You will not be prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that are around. And of course, your relevance will decline. We talked about Kodak. Today, we really don't talk about Kodak when we talk about pictures or photography because they became irrelevant. They were relevant then. They were not able to adapt to the technological changes. And today, we no longer hear about them. Now, what would I want you to take away from here? I want you to remember that change is inevitable. It is the only constant that you will ever have. So don't run away from change. It will always be there. Number two, I want you to remember that growth is optional. It's not optional. Sorry, growth is not optional. It's actually intentional. All right? Sorry, that is an error. Growth is not optional. If you want to remain relevant, you have to keep changing. You have to adapt to the change and you have to grow. Growth is intentional. You must be intentional to grow. Adaptability is what will help you to survive. But agility is what will help you thrive. So are you adapting very quickly? Learning beats knowing. So help people learn. When you hear people saying that I know how to do that, that is not a good sign. Let people have an open mindset. Let people know that they can always learn. There is always something new that they can learn. And execution beats intention. Yes, you may want to do something, but until you actually do it, it doesn't matter. Businesses and leaders who remain flexible will continue growing long after the rigid competitors disappear. The challenge that I want you to take is that because change is here and it's inevitable, learn a new skill. Stop an outdated habit. What is that habit that you hold on dear to and you know for sure it's not serving you well today? Test one new idea. Don't be afraid to test something. And make one decision faster. Learn to make decisions fast. And with that, the future does not belong to those who predict change. It belongs to those who prepare for it, embrace it, and lead through it. Thank you very much. Those are my contacts over there. Back to you, OPP.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alice. This is a very critical topic. I always remember, even locally in Kenya, how many organizations did not embrace change. And so what ended up happening is they lost momentum, they lost businesses.
Yes.
And that includes actually Airtel. Airtel, which is a global entity, it started from Kensel. And then when things changed to per second billing, they were not very quick to adapt that. And even charging people for loading airtime and the likes, people who are there can remember. And that made a lot of difference when Safaricom did, and that was one of the biggest competition that ever happened in this part of the world. And we can mention lots of things. We can mention, for example, Equity Bank, which is now spanning across different borders in Africa. They came up with new ways of banking, and the old folks were just stuck there. That caused lots of banks to reconfigure themselves along the way, but the train had left the station. Change is something that is very critical. So welcome everybody and thank you. If you have a question, you could put it in the chat. And as I mentioned, these sessions are always there on Mondays, and You are not charged anything. You just need to put it in your calendar and log in on time and be able to learn. We have a lot of other activities that take place, and so you can plug in. We also have a WhatsApp channel that you can join to be following. So any question, just put it on the chat so that we manage time. Samba, if you have a question, just put it in the chat. Usually we do that, and then afterwards, when we've closed the session, then people can interact freely. And if there are no questions, I think I'll just move into the vote of thanks session and invite Dr. Melvin, because of time as well, Dr. Melvin, to pass a vote of thanks before we close it, and then people can interact with each other. Yes, Dr. Melvin.
On behalf of Power Monday, I'd like to sincerely thank all participants for coming on time and for listening keenly to the presentation on change. Power Monday is very consistent, but we are also changing from within. I want to thank the organizers of this particular event, including ICT gurus and the new sponsors. Can you help me with their name, OPP?
Yeah, for sponsors for these sessions for the month. Currently, the new one is Pivot Assets, and I'd indicated what they do down there. They train people on wealth, investment, retirement, and the likes, and managing pension funds. So it's good to know that we have Pivot Assets on board for this month, next month, and the other month. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Then I want to thank the people behind Power Monday, who include Antonia Mutunga, Lady Noel, Odhiambo Olale, and OPP himself for being here every Monday and putting this thing together, both technically as well as organizing for it. Finally, I want to thank the speaker, Alice, for doing such a good job about tackling this business of change. If there's anything I've taken away from her, it is that you have to involve your people in the change that is about to come. They must own the change so that they can buy in and plug in to the change. And change, of course, is all around us. So Alice really helped break down change management for small businesses so well. Thank you so much, Alice. I'm privileged to work with Alice elsewhere, and I can comment about the fact that she embodies everything that she has talked about. She herself has gone through a lot of change, a change of career, a change of calling, and in fact, even changes in her family. And to her credit, she has changed with every season in her life. So if you needed an expert about change, we had it today. And please feel free to contact her for further help. With those few remarks, back to you, OPP and Lady Noel.
Thank you very much. Today, Lady Noel wasn't able to join us because she was on the road traveling. They have some funeral that just struck them. So that's why I'm holding fort as the moderator. Thank you very much. Can we have Antonia Palmandi admin just to say one or two things, and then we open it for interactions.